Warning, I say a lot of bad words. Not your man.
Yo, this is The Smoke, and you're watching Nacho Man on YouTube. And if you don't know, now you know. For The Smoke has spoken.
How'd you get the name The Smoke?
So The Smoke was a concept. We sat down, me and Flex Wheeler, one of my trainers, who was also a wrestler. We coming up with some ideas and all. You know, it was one point the Stone and all, and The Smoke just kind of caught on. It was just one of those things that caught on and stuff. And I joke about it because when people were asking me, you know, oh, you guys are related, and I'm like telling people, no, we're not related, but in the ring we are. You know, people like even Dwayne, The Rock, has said and millions of times in his past interviews that The Rock is a character that he portrays in the ring. Outside Dwayne, he's known as Dwayne. For me, The Smoke is a character that I portrayed in the ring. Outside the ring, I'm just Eric or Smokey. But in the ring, The Rock and The Smoke are cousins. Since they're characters, the Smoke is the distant cousin of The Rock. Even though I'm older than Dwayne, and I always joke about this, I'm older than Dwayne, and so I feel that I'm the original that he copied off of me. But that's the Smoke's mentality. That The Smoke was here first before The Rock and everything else because he's older than The Rock by 2 years, so he talks a lot of smack and everything. And he said, but he's never denied his lineage. But he basically, The Smoke was the kind of person like The Rock. He had his own destiny and he followed his own path. So he was doing his own thing. So, to this day, The Smoke just branched out and basically decided to go a whole different path after wrestling, but always never forget his roots of wrestling. My coworkers and I at my job, we were all ECW fans. So we all talked about wrestling. We were always talking about going to a wrestling show. So out of Philadelphia, we went to the ECW arena for the first time. But the person that stood out to me out of all these different wrestlers was New Jack. New Jack had a style where it was just like, the brother was just beating the hell out of everyone. No apology, no apologies or anything, just straight shooter. And so I was like fascinated with really that was like the next level of wrestling. And so basically getting back to the club scene, I'm working doing a music video for Let Me Clear My Throat. Here I bump into not only the one and only New Jack. So Jack and I started talking on the video set and everything else. He happened to be there that night. The next thing I know, I'm going to ECW, back to ECW show. Jack and I bump into each other. We catch up. We start talking. The next thing you know, I'm hanging out with him and I'm bodyguarding New Jack. So there was an ECW reunion show. It was a major event here in Philly. And basically, you had a lot of different wrestlers from WWE, WCW, ECW. And here I'm in the midst of it with Jack. The one thing Jack always taught me, he said, hey, when you're doing a show, if you're going to a show, always bring your gear, always have it ready because you never know when the opportunity presents itself. So that night, Jack came to me and was like, you got your gear with you? I said, yeah. He said, you want to open the show with me? You want to open up, start the match and open up the show? I was like, hell yes. So here I got my gear. We went over everything. And basically the rest was history. When I came out, the crowd went nuts. The people that knew who I was were like, holy shit, The Smoke is it. And it just opened the floodgates. Here New Jack comes out. And the next it's like wildfire. We go at it. He knocks me up the guitar. People went nuts. And it was the biggest pop for that night, like to start off the show. And it wasn't the last time that Jack and I had a match, but it was the first time. And working with him was awesome. It was just awesome. If you're a wrestler, if you're ever coming up as a pro wrestler, the one thing I will say, trust your partner in the ring, trust the person that you're working with, and just, make sure you put your ego outside the ring, keep your ego outside. It's about the fans. It's about entertaining the fans, and that's what we did. We entertained the fans. The fans loved it. So it was a great moment for me, and it was an honor, not only that, but being able to get the opportunity to work with New Jack, wrestle against them, and for him to give me the push and the opportunity. That was it was mind-blowing for me.
When did you meet The Rock?
So the funny thing is, I've met Dwayne on a couple different occasions. So one of the first times I met Dwayne was doing a show here in Philly at the beginning of my career, and at that time I was known as the 13th Prophet. I wasn't known as the Smoke at the time. I was about to lean into that. And what happened was, me and my partner, my former partner at the time, she and I went down when they were doing a show here in Philadelphia. We went to the Wachovia Center so I could go talk to them. Now, at the time, this is before social media and everything else, so I went to go down to talk with them. The funny thing was, like, they were getting ready for the show, for a WWE show. It was Monday Night Raw, and they were filming here. So I went down as I'm like, hey, I'm here to speak to Dwayne Johnson. People outside the locker room were looking like this and it was funny because I just heard the people say, hey, Dwayne, your cousin, your brother, someone's here to see you. And even Vince McMahon saw him. And people were talking. Mind you, my girlfriend / partner, she's looking at us, and me and Dwayne are talking. So I wanted to just let Dwayne know like who I was and what I was doing. And Dwayne was like, hey, as long as you're not telling people that, outside the ring, we're like family. He just said the one thing Dwayne said that always stuck with me was, this is not going to last forever. You have to find ways to reinvent yourself. So that always stood out with me. And mind you, at that time, this is when we both had hair still. The third time that Dwayne and I bumped into each other, by this time, I'm already established as the Smoke. I'm doing films. I'm doing TV. I went to the red carpet event for Gridiron Gang here in Philadelphia. And Dwayne was here with a couple of different other actors. I was on the red carpet. So by this time, our hairstyle started changing. This is what we were like basically going through the metamorphosis of losing our hair. But there's a picture of us on the internet for that one when Dwayne and I are doing the picture, and and Dwayne was like, yo, what's up, man? We were like, what's going on? And everything else. And we're doing a picture like this and stuff. So, and it was great. We just catching up and just like, hey, just glad to see you, see where you're going. And by this time, Dwayne has become an actor. He started doing more movies and all, The Mummy and everything else. And he's doing all these other films and everything, which was great. I was happy for him. So then the most recent time that we caught up with each other here, and this goes into the cosplay realm, here I'm a comic book fan, DC fan. As a cosplayer, I was doing Black Adam decades before Dwayne has talked about Black Adam, but I was cosplaying as Black Adam way before he thought about becoming actually Black Adam, even though he was a fan. What was so cool about it was because everyone that knew me and knew my reputation as a cosplayer, they've seen like, yo, I did a fan film that was based on Black Adam. So I was already out there doing it. So here, a friend of mine and I, who, he does Hawkman and all, we're going down to New York for the black carpet premiere for Black Adam in Times Square. We went down early in the morning, and as we're pulling up, I knew that there was a good chance Dwayne was going to do an interview with possibly Good Morning America or the Today Show. So here we're parked right across the street from Good Morning America. My boy and I are talking, and he's like, look who's coming out. I see Dwayne coming out. And mind you, I'm wearing a Black Adam t-shirt. I see Dwayne coming out. So I go outside, and I'm like, all right, let me go say what's up to him. And Dwayne took notice. He noticed my shirt, and I said, oh, so you just recognize the shirt. And he saw me. He was like, yo, what's up? And so we were talking. We were like, yo, man, I was telling him congratulations. I said, hey, can we shoot a promo? He said, yeah, you down to shoot the promo? I was like, yeah. Mind you, Dwayne was live on his IG live, on his Instagram live. We were live, and we shot a quick promo for Black Adam. One of the other times that really stood out with me was when Dwayne acknowledged me in his own funny way. Dwayne was The Rock, aka The Rock, was getting an interview for the movie The Rundown. And so he talks about this segment where he was like, yeah, there are guys that look like The Rock, talk like The Rock. And he looks at the camera and he says, but they don't get the $1 million deals like The Rock. And I was like, whoa, okay. I see you. Okay, Dwayne, good shot. But yeah, he was talking about me. So, because he said, yeah, this is a guy that looks like The Rock, talks like The Rock. And he looks at the camera and is like, but he doesn't get the $1 million deals like The Rock. I was like, wow, really? Okay, good. But that made me, I felt like on cloud nine because he acknowledged the skill set. Like, yeah, he's there. Yeah, I acknowledge him, but I'm the one who's getting the $1 million deals. I'm like, motherfucker. But he was right. I'm like, but I couldn't hate on that, But I thought it was funny. I thought it was funny, man.
What do you think about The Rock's acting career?
I think Dwayne's, aka The Rock's, acting career has been amazing. To see his ride and see his rise throughout. He's hit a couple bumps on the road, but he still is like doing it with a positive attitude. And you're not going to be able to please everyone. I think that everything he's done, he's left an impact because, again, he's living rent free in a lot of people's heads. Whether he's doing a great movie or whether he's doing a movie that didn't appeal to everyone, he's living rent free in everyone's head, which is great. I think when he did the Smashing Machine, I think that changes a lot of people. It changed a lot of people's perspective because they're just looking at him always as an action star. I was fortunate enough to go see the Smash Machine. If you haven't seen it, check that movie out. He did a phenomenal job. He brought a lot of emotion to the character. And I just thought that, hey, it's just great to see him doing what he's doing and, to see his journey and follow his journey and stuff. From him doing his TV show covering about his life and everything else. And just, again, I look at him as one of those kind of stories that despite all the ups and downs, he's still staying Dwayne. He's just elevating himself a lot more wiser and everything else. And I'm just happy for him. I couldn't be more happy. And then also for him getting nominated for a Golden Globe for the Smash Machine, I think that's amazing.
How'd you get to WEW?
So Women's Extreme Wrestling, WEW, was formerly known as GLOW, Gorgeous Ladies of Outrageous Wrestling. We were the next generation for women's wrestling. We were like a combination of ECW, the original GLOW. You combine them together and you got GLOW, Gorgeous Ladies of Outrageous Wrestling. And so I was commissioner on that show. I was a cross between Vince McMahon and The Rock. So let that run through your head for a minute and imagine what that could be like. And you get the Smoke, Commissioner Smoke. And I was known on that show as Commissioner Smoke. We were here on Channel 48 here in Philadelphia. Eventually, our show changed over to Dangerous Women of Wrestling. We were known for that. And then also changed again to Women's Extreme Wrestling. But during that time, during the GLOW, Dangerous Women of Wrestling era, we were like in competition with WWE at that time. On here, we were on a syndicated, channel, and here we're running numbers like they are. But again, we were like ECW, but with women wrestlers. So we're talking about before you had the divas in wrestling, before you had Jay Cog. These, I'm wrestling against people like Alexa Lurie, and and some of the highlights. If you've seen some of the matches, her early days, Mickie James, aka Mickie James, Alexis at that time, great to work with and everything else. So here you had a lot of the female wrestlers that you've seen now, some of them that are still wrestling that are now blown up, whether on AEW, wrestled in WWE, or even the indie circuit, that are out there and just are killing it. So again, I was honored to be a part of that history, and also, being one of the only guys on the show, maybe out of 4 or 5 guys on the show, I'm one of the top guys on the show and stuff. So again, that was in itself so much fun. And it was like a little mini family and everything else, but it was just so much fun.
Did you have fun being a commissioner?
Hell yeah. Being the commissioner on GLOW, Dangerous Women of Wrestling, and Women's Extreme Wrestling, had the time of my life because I get to talk and they let me go off script. They let me, basically, I was like like I said, I was the anti-Rock, but like Vince McMahon's power. And so I'm talking smack. I get to go off script. There was things we had to do on script, but then they were like, okay, Smoke, we're going to give you this, we need you to say these key things, but then we need you just to do what you do best. So I would go off script, and some of the stuff was so funny. We're in an underground bunker, the war on hoes, G.I. Ho and all. And you had to be there to watch it. We're in an underground bunker. Me and this other wrestler note, as the sound guy, we're in an underground bunker and we're like, yeah, we're fighting the hoes, the war on hoes and everything. And again, we're talking about late 90s, early 2000s, where people weren't so sensitive to a lot of stuff. People were a little bit more like, hey, it is what it is. It was tongue in cheek, but we had so much fun and everything else. So it was a way for me to cut loose, have fun, and be over the top as the Smoke, or should I say, as Commissioner Smoke. And being Commissioner Smoke, man, it was everything. I get, I was the one thing about Commissioner Smoke, he was, what's the word I'm looking for? He was not discriminatory. It was no discrimination in the ring with him as far as he was concerned. If you got in the ring with him, he was an equal opportunity ass kicker. So if you were a woman, a man, whether you were disabled, a little kid, an elderly person, the Commissioner Smoke did not care. He beat the hell out of you and did not care and gave you receipts left to right. Did not care. And it was shown on that show. I got away with a lot of stuff on the show, but had a lot of fun. It was always about safety first, but as Commissioner Smoke, I did not, or should I say the commissioner, did not give a lot of crap about who got in the ring. If you were dumb enough to get in the ring with Commissioner Smoke, expect the consequences.
In WEW, you had a match against Ice Cold Billy Austin. Who was that?
So Ice Cold Billy Austin and I, so basically during the early days of my career as the Smoke, when I started off, I was a part of a group called Infringement Incorporated, which we had the different parodies of different wrestlers, from Razor Ramon to Kevin Nash to Taz. And Ice Cold Billy Austin was, of course, the foil to Steve Austin. And a lot of people thought, and mind you, this is during the height of Monday Night Raw, where Austin and The Rock were going back and forth. And of course, with me and Austin, we had a lot of legendary moments and stuff, promo-wise and stuff. And so some of the footage, there's other footage out there that we did some skits together that was a lot of fun and real funny and all. But Ice Cold, he was definitely the idea Stone Cold Steve Austin, like again, looked like him, had mannerisms like him. He did the beard thing, but he was just funny. He was just like, picture a wrestler like Austin, but just funny. Not Gilbert, but just like Austin, but just funny. And wrestling him, it was a big thing that they wanted to do with us and all. So we had this match. It was like a bronze panties match. And the two women that were our partners basically were going in the ring with us, but people wanted to see what me and Austin were going to do. Mind you, we were at the ECW arena. And Austin and I, we're doing the classic back and forth. As you would see, it's like people would joke now and say, well, that's like the Timo version of The Rock and Austin. We were like the Timo version of it. And so we were getting into it. But then after a while, the women, they started going at it and they're ripping each other's shirt off. By this time, Austin and I just kind of beating the hell each other around the ring and stuff like that. And I think they won that match. If I recall, I think Austin and I have teamed up on other events and other shows. NWA Shockwave, we worked together on as partners and as opponents against each other. So we've always had a love-hate relationship coming up and all. But love the brother, he's an awesome wrestler. And again, he's someone that y'all need to definitely check out. If you can find him on the internet, check out Ice Cold Billy Austin.
You can't come through unless you have credentials.
Credentials? This is before the Smoke. The Smoke is the commissioner of WEW. What the hell are you two jabronis talking about?
I don't care if it's George W. Bush. You can't come in without a tag.
George who? Look.
President of the United States, sir.
I collaborated with Ron, with Jazz and Rodney Mack. So we were like a little trio known as Black Rain. I got a chance to work with them. Jazz, of course, an amazing wrestler. And of course, Rodney, this hardcore, no holds barred, no joke. Just being able to work with them and be a part of that crew. We were trying to start the next level of, like, the next group of the Nation of Domination, what we were just known as Black Rain. We were going to recruit D-Lo. We were trying to just bring in a lot of different elements and all, but it never came to fruition.
People like this kid right here who wants to go and interview and watch on the sideline. Guess what? That's not going to happen no more. The future is in black ring. The start is here and now. We just recruited possibly one of the biggest names in the business right now. And the best is yet to come. Rodney Mack, he's a man of few words. His actions will speak louder in the ring. And as for me, I'm the master planner. And when all you redneck crackerheads out there that want to try to say, well, they're just only last for a moment or a second, guess what? You haven't seen nothing yet.
Working with Tony, when they asked me to work with Tony Atlas, here I get a chance to wrestle against my hero growing up. Him and Rocky Johnson, who were my heroes as a black kid growing up. Here you have these two top tier black wrestlers, physique wise, just inspiring. And I will never forget when promoters from at that time, Dangerous Women of Wrestling was like, "Hey, how'd you feel about wrestling Tony Atlas?" I was like, "Are you kidding me?" And I was like, "Hell yeah!" And meeting Tony, and then Tony tripping out about how much I look like Dewey. But to work with Tony, that was great in itself. And Tony was just a funny guy. He was just a funny dude. When I worked with the Fabulous Moolah, and Moolah was tripping out because she was like, "You look so much like Dewey, and you talk just like him." That was the one thing everyone that either knew Dwayne had said to me, "You look just like Dewey, or you talk just like him. You look like you and Dewey could be related, blah, blah, blah." So I get that. I got that a lot.
What was it like being on the Jenny Jones show?
So that was a surreal moment. Okay, so I did a lot of different things. I did celebrity boxing where I boxed, and you'll probably get the footage that I boxed against Sandman. I went up against a MMA fighter and all this stuff. It's a long. I have to share that with you. But Damon Feltman, in celebrity boxing in the early days, celebrity boxing. I worked with Damon Feltman. He was known as the Jewish Bomber back in the day. He was big here in Philly, and he's doing a lot of celebrity boxing now, promoting a lot of celebrity boxing. Great guy, awesome dude. He and I started collaborating together, and he was one of the people that pushed me in the whole media circuit as far as getting me out there, as far as giving me a push. And so one of the things that he did, he recommended me, and I was getting a lot of notoriety on TV. And so one of my coworkers reached out to the Jenny Jones people and said, "Yo, I have a friend who looks like The Rock, and you need to check this guy out. If you're doing celebrity lookalikes, you need to get this guy on your show." So the episode for Hot Celebrity Lookalikes for Jenny Jones, we had a Michael Jackson lookalike. We had a Chris Tucker, Jackie Chan lookalike. We had a Beyonce lookalike, Christina Aguilera lookalike, Adam Sandler lookalike. We had Missy Elliott lookalike. And these were people, these were genuine people that were, at the time of that, the cream of the crop of lookalikes. And of course, you had me on there. So I had to make the most noise, the biggest noise on there. And I came on there letting people know. We had a Britney Spears lookalike. I came on there just like, boom, bigger than life, did my whole thing. Women were going off and all. And I had bought a friend of mine who's supposed to be that guy that, he don't look like him and whatever else. But it kind of turned into a thing when Jenny was asking questions. And he was like, "Well, he does look like him. He just like was hating on me because, he's making, he's doing movies and all." And so I let it be known. I became my own promotion on that show. And I was like giving shout out to New Jack. I was talking about, I got a movie coming out at the time because I was in the movie, and I'm hyping myself up on the show. And people were like, "Oh God." And then that's when she was like, when she said, "Well, you have a lot of haters on there." And I was like, that's when I broke on the philosophy. People want to see The Rock and they can't afford to see The Rock, but you got a guy who's just as entertaining as The Rock and you can afford to see him. What would you rather do? And people were like, yeah, yeah. So that opened the door for me as one of the highest rated episodes for that season. I mean, I can tell you tons of stories where because of who I look like opened a lot of doors for me. And, again, it was this is a great time. This is a great moment of my life, being able to experience that and having a lot of fun without abusing it. Because for a while I did have a issue about wanting to do it as a gimmick as The Rock, because I felt like I didn't want to step on his shoes. And I will never forget, this promoter pulled me aside and sat down. It was this other pro wrestler. And he said, if you weren't going to do it, someone else would. And I was like, and I thought about that. I was like, you know what? Good point. So I might as well be the one to do it. And it just kind of worked out really good. So again, I just blessed to be able to do that and still be able to just have so much fun looking back at those times.
What was it like being in the Marines?
Well, I came from a family of Marines. I have two older brothers that were Marines. It was an experience that at the time that I needed. It helped keep me structured. It helped make me the man that I am today. And it might be cliche-ish to say. Cliche-ish? Am I saying it right? It might be cliche to say. But coming up as a United States Marine and having two other brothers as Marines, of course, my parents were very proud. I served during Desert Shield, but I also had scars from that during the time that I served. Went through a lot of turmoil, experienced racism for the first time ever really in my life when I joined the Marine Corps. It was like directly in my face. So I had a lot of challenges that left scars, got some injuries that left scars. So, but I was proud also because it was something that to accomplish as being a United States Marine at that time, it just made me feel like I was Superman, like I was a superhero, like I did something that a lot of people could not do and everything else. So when I would see another fellow Marine, it was like, it was like a brotherhood. It was like we were part of a unique group of individuals. So that alone was like everything to me. And then also having two other brothers, there's a picture of us, all three of us in our dress blue uniforms. That's one of those pictures that always meant a lot to me. So that helped structure me as a person and how I carried myself in wrestling, just throughout the course of my life and my career.
Did you experience racism in wrestling too?
That's an interesting question. I gotta say I was fortunate enough not to, because at that time, my mentality at that time when I came out in the Marines was not to tolerate any kind of discrimination from anyone. And while I'm a nice guy, I think my persona in the ring kind of made people leery about saying the wrong thing to me, or saying the wrong thing to me, because people, like, I get this a lot. When people meet me, they're like, oh my God, you're so nice, but you're so mean in the ring. You're so this in the ring. Because the way I was in the ring, I just didn't give a damn. I beat the hell out of people. So outside the ring, I was a nice guy. But the people from management and everything, they just knew, hey, I would get asked to do certain things, and I was like, no, I'm not going to do it. And it wasn't nothing crazy, but it was just enough where I was like, no, I don't want to do it. And they wouldn't give me any kind of flack. The wrestlers from New Jack to Flex to some of the other wrestlers I trained with taught me, like, hey, as far as this business is concerned, never let anyone disrespect you, especially for the color of your skin. Now, that being said, that doesn't diminish away from other wrestlers that have been through discrimination in the ring. I've just been one of the fortunate ones that have not really experienced it. And if I did, I really didn't give a damn, because I couldn't care less what anyone thought of me. Because you did have individuals that were jealous. Like, how's this guy wrestling an all women's wrestling ring or wrestling show and all this stuff, and he's not this and he's not. And I didn't care, because I'm like, yeah, but y'all want to be on that show. And guess what? I'm on that show, and plus I'm a person of color on that show. Guess what? And at that time, politics, the mentality of politics at that time, the climate of politics wasn't that heavy as it is now. I mean, it wasn't as sensitive. And for me, I just like, again, I just didn't care what people thought. I was like, yo, screw you. I couldn't care less because people knew how to not say the wrong thing to me. Like, see, on the internet, you got people hiding behind computers, hiding behind their screens, and so they're commandos on computers. They just think they can talk big stuff because they know they can never have the courage enough to say it to your face. So for me, I just I didn't care. To this day, that's the one thing I tell people all the time. I don't care what people think. People can make fun of my size. They can make fun of, oh well, yeah, he copied off of it. But guess what? Don't care. It opened doors for me, and I had a lot of fun. Couldn't care less. To this day, I still don't care. But I'm grateful to the people that support. But the one thing, like I said, as I said earlier in our interview earlier, if you got the audience hating you, you've made it good. You've made it good when you have a hater. If you have at least one hater, that means you made it. Because you're going to have a good vast majority of people that love you. But you're going to have that 1 or 2, maybe 10 haters and all. Guess what? Cool. I made it because you took the time for me to live in your head rent-free and you're hating on me. Congratulations. Awesome.
How'd you become an actor and producer?
So I've always loved acting. I did theater. I was a model during that time before I was wrestling. When I was bodyguarding. I wanted to always work in the entertainment sector. And what happened was I did theater. I did little plays here and there and all. And so I had gotten discovered. I was in New York. I was appearing as a pro wrestler. I recognized this one actor from one of the shows in the 90s. And I was like, man, he had his own TV show. And I was like, yo, love your work, man. He saw my stuff with wrestling and everything. He was like, look, I'm doing an independent movie. Love for you to be in it. How would you feel? I want to give you a role. I was like, yep. Came in, auditioned for the role. Automatically, they took me. They were like, it was a martial arts film. It was called The Black Ninja. And auditioned for it. They were like, oh, yeah, you already got the part. So I had my first makeout scene and all that stuff. And it was really great. I had a standout character I played. And from there, mind you, this is before social media was really booming, before when Facebook just started coming out. And I wanted to do a fan film, superhero fan film. Goes back to Black Adam. I was a big fan of Black Adam. I wanted to do a Batman versus Black Adam short film called Clash in the Night. I wrote it, got together with a friend of mine. We put it together, and boom, it was my first film. And kind of branched out from there. People liked what I was doing, and so I got offered to do a play about this pro wrestler, Chad Deity. I would start off each night. I would start off the show in a wrestling match, so people got a chance to see what wrestling was about in theater. We were on stage for 12 weeks, and that was really great. And then helped train the other wrestlers along with this other pro wrestler. We were basically training the actors. And I got to be a part of different short films, some other independent films. And it kind of opened the door for me into doing TV and hosting TV and stuff. So everything just kind of fell into place as time went on.
How'd you get into cosplaying?
So cosplaying for me, I got into cosplay. So let's go back. We're going back into the 70s. I was a big superhero fan, cartoons. I was a nerd / geek. Anybody that knew me in high school and elementary school could tell you. Smoke was always, he was always into it. So fast forward, I'm cosplaying. My buddy and I, one of the first things I did this thing, collaboration with my buddy. We did Crockett and Tubbs back in '84. There's a picture of us. I'm holding the thing. I'm doing Tubbs. He's doing Crockett. We got our bikes in the back. We're wearing the outfits like them. And then my senior prom, I had a custom. My mom was a fashion designer. So I had gotten my tuxedo made based on this character in the comic books called Black Hawk, DC Comics. And I just kind of from there was doing it. Now, at that time, before cosplay was called cosplay, it was called costuming. So here we are. I'm doing all that. Fast forward, joined the Marine Corps. I was doing a little stuff, going to movie premieres, dressed up now and then, go to see Dick Tracy, yellow hat, long trench coat, blah, blah, blah. Fast forward, come out the Marine Corps. I'm doing security for this RapCon thing. Star Trek convention was going on. I get dressed up as Worf from Next Generation, makeup and all, everything, do-it-yourself outfit. And I was going to all these little things at the time, showing my fandom. So how I really got hardcore back into cosplay was in 2003, I went to a con. A friend of mine took me to the show called Baltimore Con. And I was seeing all these people dressed up. So I was like, okay, I'll dress as Neo. Dressed as Neo and everything. I'm like, this is my lane. Mind you, I was still wrestling at the time. By this time, I was already doing on TV. I was recognized on TV. So I got recognized by this company called Wizard World. And so by the grace of God, I got offered to do an appearance in Chicago as a wrestling celebrity guest. And I was like, okay, cool. Went there, got a chance to appear with all these great guests, met a lot of celebrities who became friends with, everything. It was cool. It was like, there's a picture of me, Billy D. Williams, Doug Jones, Daniel Logan. There's this big group shot. We're all together and all, the Luke Goss, all together. It's like this, for group shot, celebrity group shot. So we moved forward. I made such an impression on the promoters of the show. They were like, hey, would you like to start coming to, our shows and everything else and hosting for panels and all? I said, sure. I was coming as a celebrity guest, mind you, as a pro wrestling guest. But because I was also a superhero fan, I started wearing costumes. And the next thing you know, I was doing less of the appearance as a celebrity and more as a cosplaying guest. But I was hosting the celebrity panels, hosting the other celebrities, hosting the cosplay contest, and it kind of blew up from there. And next thing I know, I was on tour with Wizard World for at least 2 years. And that opened up the door where I ended up being a TV host for Sci-Fi Channel's Heroes of Cosplay. And from there, I just started doing film, movie, background work for TV shows, the whole nine. So it just kind of like worked out for itself. One of the things a lot of people don't know that I'm an official DC comic book character for DC Comics, known as Freight Train. So Freight Train is widely based on me. Dan DiDio, who was the head guy of DC Comics back in, we're talking about 2015, 2014, presented me as the actual character of Freight Train. In fact, on the Black Lightning CW show, they have a female version of my character, Freight Train, even with the same first and last name. They gender swapped her. But in the comic books, it's me. It's me as Freight Train. So that was a very dope moment. So when people ask me what's my favorite character, I have to say me because I'm also a character as the Smoke. I worked with this other gentleman by the name of Robert Garrett who made Smoke into a superhero. I'm in this movie called The Surge of Power Where There's Smoke. And I got a chance to work with a lot of different veteran actors I grew up on, superhero actors I grew up on. Nichelle Nichols, to name one of them, Uhura from Star Trek. Got a chance to work with a lot of these great actors. And basically, I'm one of the leads in this movie as the Smoke, but as a superhero.
Do you have any advice to the younger generations?
To the younger generations, my advice for anybody that's coming up in wrestling, especially for wrestling, I will say this, and I mean this wholeheartedly. When you're coming up, always be humble. Learn the fundamentals. When you're learning the fundamentals in wrestling, it's about safety first in the ring. Make sure that you learn as much as you can as far as being safe first in the ring, and then learn about what kind of style you want to be. Do you want to be a brawler? Do you want to be a high flyer? Do you want to be a technical? Once you learn that, learn the psychology in the ring, how to work the crowd, how to make them hate you, how to make them love you. Learn the psychology. The most important thing is, as a newcomer in the wrestling business, if as you're coming up, stay humble. You put your ego outside the door. When you go in the locker room, pay your respects to the veteran wrestlers, but stay humble. That will get you far. It doesn't mean you have to kiss ass, but stay humble. If it's something you don't want to do, you're not comfortable with, speak up. Let them know, like, I don't want to do this. If it compromises you as a person, whether you're male or female, you don't have to do it. But speak up. Speak your mind. Let them know. But stay humble in the business. You will go very far. Opportunities come up. Just as long as you remember to also throw the rope over the wall to help other people go over and pass on what you learn to help others, progress in the business as well.
Is there any last words you want to say for the video?
Well, first off, Nacho Man, or should I say Nacho Man? First off, thank you so much for having me on the show, man. It's an honor to be a part of what you're doing, man. I think it's great. A lot of people out there need to tune in. Check him out. Follow him. Subscribe to his channel. Thank you to all the supporters out there, from my family, to my friends, to my fans. Thank you so much for all the years of following me, supporting me, whether it's through my wrestling, cosplay, acting, everything I've ever done out there. Thank you so much. It means the world to me. And I'm only branching out and doing even more. So thank you all out there. But again, please make sure you follow Nacho Man, subscribe to his channel, show your like, share, let people know about Nacho Man, because he is the next generation of wrestling as far as knowing all the stuff that you didn't know about your wrestling history. He is the inside man on wrestling history. He is Nacho Man.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you for joining me today.
Most definitely, brother. Thank you.
Damn, that's crazy. But anyways, if you liked the video, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Also, if you want to join my Discord server, link in description. Nacho Man out.